What's something dumb you believed as a kid? Illinois was the only state people lived in and all other states were just for vacation. Which was all the more confusing because you're from Wisconsin. I was about 5 and didn't understand prison. I thought everyone went to jail sometime, like it was just a phase of life. You can't do that, you'll go to jail. Might as well get it out of the way now. It was a bright and sunny summer day when I heard this annoying high-pitched drone sound. I asked my mom, "What is that?" over and over until she got fed up and said it's the sun. And that's when I started believing that the sun made a sound when it shone extra bright instead of, cicadas. Nothing makes a kid stupider than a frustrated parent. After I got the talk, I was pretty convinced that the whole process was automated. Like the talk I received was along the lines of a man puts his willy in a woman's private CTC etc, and I thought that was it. Just stick it in and from there the vag would sort of vacuum out all the sperm. You probably have to pay extra for that sort of thing. When I was 9, I really wanted a guitar for my birthday, so I made sure to make that very clear to both of my parents. I would always talk about guitars, how much I wanted to play one, and even which specific guitar I wanted. Finally one day my father asked me directly if I'd want a guitar, and I knew I had succeeded. I told him that I'd really love one. My birthday was a week away, so I started to get really excited about my guitar. I started memorizing chord charts and made a list of all the Rise Against songs I wanted to learn. My father then asked me if he could talk to me about something important. He came into my room and sat down next to me. He basically told me that I wasn't getting a guitar, and that I'd be getting something much more special instead. I asked him what it was, and he put his hand on my shoulder, my socks. He then proceeded to give me this long talk about how it is tradition in our family for fathers to pass down their socks to their son when they turn 10 years old, and that he would be doing the same. When I got sad about it, he told me that I should instead be proud that I had reached the age of manhood and would be able to wear his socks. I was pretty bummed out for a few days, but the more he brought it up and the closer my birthday got, I started to get kind of excited about it. I asked him what color the socks were and if I could start wearing them immediately. I even told him that I was looking forward to the day I could pass down my own socks to my son when he turned 10. I started telling all of my friends about it, basically saying that they should keep an eye on my feet next week because I was approaching manhood. Needless to say, none of this was true. My birthday came, and I indeed got the guitar I had asked for. My entire family was in on it, and they were all happy to see how excited I was. No socks at all though, so here I am today at 21 still wondering if I've achieved manhood or not. I believed for ages the police were after me. I was terrified of them. When I was really little, about 4, I was in a toy shop and accidentally wandered into the storage room at the back. A staff member saw me and yelled at me saying the police would arrest me for being back there. I believed them and was scared of police for years afterward. Found you motherfucker. Get in the dang car. One day my sister and I were sitting in the back of the car, and my mum was driving. The peace was shattered by an ear-splitting scream. My sister was crying profusely and shouting that we were going to get in trouble. My mum asked why, to which my sister replied, "You can't drink and drive." I had opened a can of Coke. My sister, at the age of 4, didn't understand that drink and drive meant anything other than imbibing a beverage in a car. I was your sister, okay, not literally, but I went on vacation with an aunt and cousin. On vacation I saw some don't drink and drive commercials. Mum picked me up from the airport. Driving home, glad to finally get the front seat. Usually youngest brother hogged it. Looked over, saw mom drinking a Pepsi, started bawling, asking mom why she wanted to die. She was so confused. My parents told me that a lie is stored on my tongue, so if I said anything and they didn't believe me, they would make me stick out my tongue. It took me years to learn that if I refused they knew I was lying. I am going to use this one on my toddler when she gets a little older. My grandmother told me that ain't was a swear word. I completely believed her and proceeded to freak out whenever I heard someone say it for the next few years. Turns out, she just wanted me to use proper grammar. Ain't in the dictionary because ain't a word, my dad. I've posted this before, but I thought that foreign exchange students were literally exchanged with a kid from another country. I was always a little nervous I'd be the one picked to be exchanged with. My dad told me that A&W stood for hamburgers and Woot beer. Pretty sure I am still gonna tell my kids this. It was originally going to be called the Hamburgers and Root Beer Block, but the name H&R Block was already taken. That when someone bought a vowel on Wheel of Fortune, Vanna White actually got the money and that was how she was paid. One night while sitting on the couch, we heard an explosion. We went outside and I overheard my parents telling the neighbors that a transformer blew up. So I thought cars that turned into giant robots were real and were attacking our city. My husband and I were having a rather bad fight during a rough patch on a very hot July day when a transformer 3 blocks over exploded. We were in a 2-story apartment building and the building shook. That's one way to end a fight. People could see a thought bubble above my head whenever I was thinking of something bad. If I didn't verbally say goodnight to my parents, they would die while I was asleep, and it would be my fault. I slept in their doorway for a year, just to be sure they were okay, and to get up with my dad so he wouldn't be lonely. He was in the military and left before sunup. They never questioned me or reprimanded me. I thought the guy working at the pizza place was ripping us off since my dad would always complain about a slice being missing when we got carry out. Turns out my dad was just eating a slice on the way home. I realized this fact about 4 years ago. I'm 24. I did this while bringing home caramel apples from school. My parents ordered 8 and I came home with 4. That left 1 each. For everyone but me, of course. It was about a 1-mile walk from school. That was long enough to eat 4 pretty small apples. So I thought I was a robot. My older brother told me. He said it with such conviction, for weeks on end. Fearing he may be right, I finally asked my parents at the dinner table. Dad, James says I am a robot you and mom built in the garage. Dad laughs, looks at mom, and says it wasn't the garage. I didn't get it. I thought it was an admission. When I was in 1st or 2nd grade, one kid from the class, he was a weird kid, once told me he had to tell me a secret. He told me he was in fact a robot. He insisted on it for weeks or months. I can't say I totally believed him, but I didn't rule out the possibility he might have been telling the truth either. When I was about 5, I asked my dad what those signs on the side of highways that said speed limit enforced by aircraft meant. He told me it meant if you were going too fast or too slow the government could shoot you off of the road from a helicopter. Took me several years before I realized he was just messing with me. I had a toy car that I cursed, so if I rolled over 7 times I would die, so I rolled it 6 times and said I don't wanna die, so I put it somewhere very safe. I pulled it out and rolled it a few times on later occasions. Probably needed help as a kid. Living on the edge. That the brown Levi labels on the back of jeans were made of potato skins. I tried eating one. Did not taste good. I never knew about special effects, so I always just assumed that if an actor had to play a character that died, they literally had to die for that role. Now that's dedication. That cartoon will be paused if I turn off the TV. My first experience with mechanical pencils was in 3rd or 4th grade, and the other kids had them and I had no idea how they worked. For an embarrassingly long time I thought that when they did that thing where they held down the eraser button and pushed the lead into their arms, it was actually going into them. My dumbass even got a hold of a pencil and tried it without knowing to hold down the button. So there I am just jabbing myself for a while before giving it back. When I first learned what the speedometer in the car was, I asked why we didn't take out the glass so we could reach in and turn it to whatever speed we want. It made sense at the time. You have just given Elon Musk an idea for the next Tesla. That people who kissed in movies must be married to each other, because only married people kiss each other, right? I honestly believed that. I used to think that they intentionally left off parts of the marriage vows in movies because otherwise the actors would be married to each other. I grew up in the middle of nowhere with zero ethnic diversity. I thought I could tan myself into a different race. I thought women just randomly had a child. I didn't question where it came from. I just always thought you just got a whole but human out of nowhere. I thought that two people had to be married to have a kid, so that when a couple married, God just randomly made the woman pregnant whenever he wanted to. That the headlights and grille of cars formed a face. I thought all the Chevy and Dodge SUVs were just depressed. They kinda do. My car's front grille is gone, so I say my car got punched in the mouth. I would hold my breath when we're passing a cemetery because the spirits will enter you and you'll become them and they'll possess you and take over. My sister and I would also hold our breath when driving by cemeteries, but our explanation was it's not polite to breathe when others can't. I was raised religious, taught that if you had any problems at all, you should pray to God and he would listen and make it better. You might expect this story to take a turn for the sad, but not for Baby Red. I had a stuffed animal of that turtle Franklin, and when I was a kid, I really wanted him to be alive and be my friend. I prayed to God that he would wake up in the night and be my friend the next morning. I was so excited that night I couldn't sleep, and eventually got up to tell my dad not to be scared the next morning if Franklin was up walking around and talking. He had to sit me down and tell me that God doesn't do stuff like that. I was crushed. It took a turn for the sad anyways. This is so goddamn stupid, but I knew the abbreviation doctor stood for doctor, so when I saw road signs with doctor, I thought it meant it was a doctor exclusive neighborhood SMH. My mom used to mop the kitchen floor and tell me if I stepped in it I'd burn my feet. Looking back, she just didn't want me to walk through her clean floors. Oh, also, I believed the lifeguards who told me the pool would turn purple if I peed in the water. I believed them too. So I did it because I wanted to see it, got out of the pool and asked the lifeguard why she lied to me. I used to believe that wars lasted for a year max, and if nobody won by the time a year was up, then the two countries just sort of called a truce, and that nobody actually lived in the Middle East. I sorta thought it was a designated area for countries to duke it out without any civilians around. I thought babies were born via two people kissing enough that their saliva formed a child. Me too, I knew about the sperm and where it was stored, and how the egg is in the ovaries, but I legit thought that when a man and woman kissed, the man's sperm and woman's egg went up into their saliva and mixed in the mouth, and that the woman swallowed it or something. That I went to Princess Peach's castle. We even discussed where Bowser lived and such. It actually was Bold Castle in Alexandria Bay, NY, which is very nice, but I wish my dad told me the truth because I told my entire 4th grade class like an idiot. Girls pee out their butt. As a kid, all I ever knew a willy was for peeing, like a little hose attached on our front. A pee hose if you will. And I knew girls didn't have willies, but if you don't have your pee hose, where does the pee come out? Well, stuff comes out your butt, right? So maybe the butt does double duty. Ergo, girls pee out their butt. Man, 4-year-old logic is crazy. Yep, me too. I saw my mom sitting on the toilet when she peed and I only sat to poo, so the pee must come from the butt. Dogs are boys and cats are girls. Full grown adults believe this crap. I've had to explain that my dog is actually female, even though she's a dog, on more than one occasion. If you touched or got touched by a praying mantis, you'd become one. Growing up, when I saw "Adopt a Highway" sign along the side of the road, I thought you could literally adopt that part of the highway and take ownership of it. I crafted this grand plan to adopt sections of highways throughout the country and place a toll booth on all of them. That the chicken we ate and chicken the bird were two different things. Why would I eat an animal? That's madness. That I could grow up to be anything I wanted to be. When I was around 5, my mom asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up and I said an apple. My mom and my sister laughed and said you can't be an apple. So I said a horse. There was a fairy for every lost thing. Like the tooth fairy. So for example, if I'd lose like some eyelashes or a toenail, I would put it under my pillow and expect $1. I really like this one. So many possibilities. You peed into a girl's lady parts to get her pregnant. She came from her room, her perfume fragrant. He peed in her butthole to make her pregnant. Steven Tyler was in love with a cross-eyed woman. Because I thought the lyrics to "Don't Wanna Miss a Thing" were, "And then I kiss your eyes and thank God they're together." I thought movies were filmed in one giant take. I was always impressed that actors could memorize their lines for the whole movie, although, I guess that's what plays are crap. Am I still dumb? That characters on TV could see me at home. I was very shy about changing into my pajamas while watching TV. You've been visited by the good sleep doggo. Like within the next 4 seconds and you will be blessed with cozy and restful sleeps. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.